Hello and welcome to Golden Years Care Channel. I'm your host Owen Osarinho, your seniors advocate. As you know, on this channel, we talk specifically about issues relating to elder care, elderly people, and how to find the best situation for them. This is an area where must interest everyone, because at some point in our life, we're all going to get there. And presently, many of us, I believe, have relatives who are elderly, parents, uncles, aunties, or anyone related to us in one way or the other, who are in their golden stage of life. When I say golden stage, from above 60 or 60 or 70, it depends. And in most cases, you find even elderly people who are 90 years old, as long as they're in good health, everything seems fantastic. And that's the point where most of us desire to get to, where you get to that age in life where you still have your full faculty, you still have your capacity, you're not incapacitated in any way, and you're in full control of your situation. And hopefully you have your loved ones, families, children, relatives, people who actually care about you, who will be there to assist you in several ways. Today, my focus is on elder care in Nigeria. And we need to understand some of the specific things that elderly people go through. And even though we have always had that style of family integration and family help, where we believe traditionally that our elderly ones need to be taken care of by children or grandchildren. But as you and I know, a lot have changed. And because of global movement, financial difficulty, globalization, people have moved. And most of our elderly people are left on their own. Whether they're in the villages, the children have moved to the city, or even they're in the cities in Nigeria, most of their children have moved on. Some moved abroad. Personally, I left Nigeria nearly 30 years ago. And as at the time I left, my parents were both alive. And it took me years to be able to get stabilized and to come back. And by the time I was ready to come back, they're all gone. And it's a very painful stage in one's life. And that's one of the motivations that pushed me to get to the point where I have this passion about elderly people. Because here in the UK, even though I was in other part of Europe for a lot of years, I've been in the UK for a couple of years now. And also my education, I went back to the university to do health and social care. And I end up working in adult social care, adult care sector. And I interact with the elderly people. I have a passion for them, for their wisdom, for their vulnerability, and for the fact that these are the people that have laid the platform for most of us. And wherever you come from, whether from Africa, from Asia, from anywhere, at this point in your life, you may be far away from your parents, or unfortunately you don't have them anymore, but you still have people who are in that stage in their life who should be cared for. And unfortunately, the kind of government we have in Nigeria and other parts of Africa, there's actually no provision, or little, or non-existent at all, for adult care. So today I'm going to talk about adult care in Nigeria, understanding dementia and why we must do better. Because dementia is one of the major issues associated with elderly people. We're talking about something often ignored in our communities. Our elderly parents and grandparents, how are they cared for when they begin to forget things or fall ill or are left alone? There are growing cases of dementia and adult neglect in Nigeria and many other parts of Africa, and many of which no one is talking about. So what actually is dementia? What does it reflect? What is it associated with? Common illness in old age and other related things are the things that actually put most of our elderly people in that situation. Dementia is not a disease on its own, but a group of symptoms that affect memory, thinking, and social ability, mostly caused by Alzheimer's disease. As common signs include memory loss, confusion, disorientation, trouble in speaking, understanding or making decisions, or simply wandering, or mood swings. These are the things that are common or related to elder people. And related conditions like a stroke, memory loss, vascular dementia, Parkinson's disease, arthritis, vision, blood, hearing loss, frailty, incontinence, emphasis should be laid on these issues that are related to elderly people. We know that when people get old, they more or less become like children, frail and vulnerable. Now, these are not just normal aging, but medical issues that require specialized care. Now, in Nigeria context, there are challenges of caring for the elderly, which is obvious, and this we know, even though many of us will try to shy away from it, but it should be our responsibility. There are also cultural expectations. Elders are respected, or used to be, but there's little formal care regarding their welfare. It is expected that families will care for parents, but urban migration, just as I said earlier, job stress and poverty have made this factor harder and more difficult even for the children. Now, these are real challenges that we encounter every day, and no consistent social welfare or pension support in the Nigeria context. Elderly people are often abandoned or neglected. Also, there is that stigma. Talking about dementia may be mistaken for spiritual attack or witchcraft or madness. And most of our people view it from that angle, which is very unfortunate. And in that case, even the family or relative may become so embarrassed or ashamed to see their loved ones or parents in that condition, why others ignorantly brand them as witches or wizards, or they are under spiritual attack or whatever. And these things it's absurd to even think that way. But this is the stigma, this part of the stigma associated with dementia in the African society. And that's why a lot of people don't want to talk about it. But we have to talk about these things. And the emotional toll also it have on family caregivers, that's the parents, the relatives, and children, that care for this elderly. At some point, they become depressed, financially strained, and stressed. And because of this kind of issues, they begin to vent their anger on these elderly ones. And these people are the ones who need help. Or at some points, traditionally, we turn our grandma or grandpa to even babysitters for our children instead of them being cared for. And these are some of the issues, that needs to be discussed in the family carefully, and solutions will be found at some point. Now, where can the elderly go when the children have left home, they left behind? Are there any existing care homes in Nigeria? Interestingly, I was going through the web and I found a few, very few, but those few also are exclusively reserved for the rich and those people who can afford them. For example, in Abuja, I was able to find on the web the care homes or nursing home like Grace Nursing Care Center, Blossom Elderly Care, both in Abuja. Also, there's one called Rockgarden Home in Lagos, Itoju Senior Living in Ogun State, and many other few. Mostly have very limited bed, lack of staff, and charges fee that are exclusively above the reach of the average Nigerian. And even the very few that are mentioned, I don't think they make much publicity about their businesses for people to know about them. Maybe because they even have limited spaces and the ones they have has been filled already, And this is also an area that could be of good investment for those who actually care in this area. And now there are also always in these few areas I mentioned, shortage of trained geriatric nurses, homes also not regulated or supported by government. There's also a lack of cultural sensitivity, like in care, in food, the language, the spirituality. Now, these things need to be incorporated in whatever arrangement we have for these elderly people. Now, what needs to change? The role of the family, the society, and government, of course. The families should plan ahead for aging loved ones, like regular checkup, home modifications for them, because we tend to build fantastic mansion. The kind of homes I find in Nigeria sometimes, even here abroad, you don't find them. People spend billions to build home, stair building, duplex or triplex or whatever they call it. And when these people get old, they can't climb the stairs. There's no provision for that, and they're left abandoned in one place while the children show off on social media. I'm sorry, this is the reality of the situation. So we need to make plans ahead, even as we are. You're getting older. Once you start, you're from your 50s to 60s. This is a time where one should start making plans for old age. Many of us, we live in denial. We don't even imagine that we'll get to that point and be struggling, but that also mostly become the case. And the people you expect to take charge of your situation, they have other things to worry about. So for families, there should be planned ahead of time and for the aging of our loved ones, give them a regular checkup, arrange for doctors to meet them at home. Also try to make modification in the home to make place for the condition. Maybe they're no longer mobile, or they're on the wheelchair now, or incapacitated at some point. If the bedrooms were upstairs, you can make modifications and create a better space for them downstairs, where they can still enjoy the environment and not feel abandoned. Also, there's the shared caregiving responsibility among siblings. Those things need to. We don't need to quarrel and shout about those things. But understandably, the stress of life, maybe once one of the children is in America, another in Europe, other in Abuja, and the parents, they're left in Lagos or Benin. Who cares? Who take care of the caregiving? Who is responsible? And most of the time, we tend to hire some house help, or what they call them, to take care of these elderly people. But we know the stories. We've heard stories of how house help end up maltreating the elderly ones that we think or pay them to take care of. So if you're not fully involved in the welfare of your elderly parent, and you have left the responsibility to the house help or the people you think you're paying to look after them, you're just wasting your time. And that elderly parents, it may no longer be, may no longer have the capacity to even understand what's going on. Maybe they have dementia or some memory issue, and it's a very devastating situation. And most of the time, we reduce the issue to these old people and their wahala. We need to be educated about dementia and the issue associated with dementia. It's not the fault of these elderly people, and whether we like it or not, at some point, it's not every elderly person that will have dementia or memory issue, but mostly you never know what's coming. So that's for the family, and there's a lot to be talked about in that area. But briefly, I also want to talk about government involvement. There should be a national policy on aging, supported fully by government, and funding also for this particular issue, and also support community elder centers should be supported, created by government, with laws that will protect the welfare and privileges of these elderly people. We also need to create subsidized care homes and train caregivers and make those jobs, attractive for people. Give incentives, things that will motivate the staff. Also, make them feel appreciated for doing that job. If you are not there to do the job of looking after your elderly ones, and you find people doing that job, they should be appreciated. Apart from the money they get from their job, they should be appreciated for doing a good job. And that's very important. Also, we need to include elder care in our health insurances. Unfortunately, because of the setting in Nigeria, there are no health insurance except for very few private health insurance. I think the government also have a few, how many people work in the government, If you've never done, if you're those who, among those who work in government, you may have specific government empowered insurance scheme of how many people are in that category, and the rest are just put aside, and nobody even talk about what's going to happen to them, and then the majority. Also, the society. We have faith-based and community groups that can also create day centers and visit homes. Many of the big churches in the world, the headquarters, you find them in Nigeria. That's the truth. And it surprised me that many of these churches, they're not involved in, or nothing seems to show that they have programs laid down for the elderly people. And these are the kind of charities they can create and make it visible and make people understand that this is where they are involving. And a lot of people will support them because our people are very religious, you know. So these areas is very important. Faith-based and community groups can be created and day centers supported by some of these religious groups. Also, we need to stop the shame and stigma that's associated with elderly people or dementia or whatever situation associated with them. Whatever is going on with them is not their fault. And whether we like it or not, we're going to get there. Many of us will get there. You don't know how you're going to get there. You get there or not get there with your full capacity, or you get there in frail condition as your parents are. You know, the earlier we start thinking about these things, the better. We should also learn to train young people as professional caregivers, a new career path for most of these people who don't have job. Make that path attractive for them. Finally, I want to end with a question to the viewer. What kind of care would you want for yourself when you grow old? You know, we should also encourage families to speak out about aging, about viewing to support or visit local elder care homes, if there are any. Also for churches and monks to check on elderly people, elderly members in their society, in their group. Also for community leaders to speak up for the change that need to be effected by the government's policies that will favor elderly people. Now, add your opinion to this discussion and let us start talking about it. There should never be a stigma attached. People should never be ashamed to talk about the condition of their elderly people. I wish my parents were still with me. Now that I have this kind of understanding about the situation, I don't think you want to wait till that time when they are no longer there for you to make a difference in their life. If you still have your parents with you, cherish them. No matter the condition they're in, whatever sacrifices they are made to bring you to where you are, probably is what got them in that condition. Cherish them, appreciate them. And if they're no more, you have the resources, create situation in their own memory. Start a foundation, start a care center, start a charity organization that will support elderly people in the area where you come from. And then you receive the blessings from these elderly people. They are wonderful people. Thanks once again for finding time to listen. And I look forward to hearing your opinion. Please subscribe to this channel and we'll share more ideas about elderly people. Thanks once again. See you in our next video. Bye for now.
No. Yes. Yes.
While the continent of Africa currently has the lowest share of adults aged 60 and older in its population among all world regions, the total number of older Africans is projected to triple between 2020 and 2050. Nigeria, Africa's leading economy and most populated country, has the highest number of older people in the continent. This population change has several implications, pointing to the need to pay attention to healthy aging.
If you look at Nigeria as a whole, Africa as a continent, elderly care is almost non-existent. It's almost normal as part of our culture that when our elderly ones get to that age, we just assume that the family will care for them. Their children will care for them. That's African, you know, when the elderly ones are growing up, the children. But that is fast changing due to the Japa syndrome. You know, a lot of young persons are living in their thousands And we're seeing elderly ones roaming the streets. We're seeing elderly ones who are abandoned. We're seeing elderly ones who are, living very poorly. And I'm not sure that today in Nigeria, elderly care ranks top as priority for government. So that's why Full Circle exists, to make sure that we do our own bit in offering care services and wellness, which is a big part of what we do for elderly persons.
As we see a bigger aging population, it becomes obvious that this population will require more from society. There are now organizations in Nigeria that understand the importance of keeping the spirit young and giving older people a community to engage with.
From the medical perspective, there's a difference between graceful aging and then just growing old. And what makes the difference is awareness or knowledge. So when elderly patients, even right from middle age or young age, it's good for everyone to be aware of, healthy lifestyle, healthy diet, and all of that, because that will determine, how well you will age.
And this is actually the charity arm of our business. And that's where Seniors Timeout comes up. And Seniors Timeout is a monthly wellness event that we curate for seniors. And we go from curating movie programs to beach outings. We've had basket weaving sessions, we've had art sessions, we've had dance sessions. Every month we come up with something new, something different. Once every while, we will try to take them out to spaces where we know that they've not been to or had the privilege to go to in probably decades.
Your hands up.
There's what we call the geriatric giants. They are the common conditions that we see in elderly patients, and they are known by 6 I's. The first one is instability. So most elderly patients are unstable because of arthritis, because of other diseases that they might have had, maybe a stroke in the past. Most of them have unstable gait, and therefore they are prone to falls. The other I is infections. Like I said, their immune system is weakened, and then because of that, they are not able to fight infections. So elderly patients are prone to infections. The third I is what we call iatrogenia, which is caused by medical practice. You can imagine somebody who is hypertensive, diabetic, also has arthritis, and maybe chronic obstructive airway disease, might end up taking about 16 tablets, a day. And this exposes their liver, their kidneys, and other organs of the body to some form of injury or the other. Then the next I is what we call immobility. Most elderly patients, especially females, have arthritis, and this affects their movement. You suddenly find out they can't climb the stairs, they can't climb onto the car, and all of that. The next I is incontinence, especially in females, because of their, birth-giving practice. Many of them would have given birth, and at times to 5, 6, 7 children. And because of that, the pelvic muscles are already weakened. Then the last I of this geriatric giant is their intellectual impairment. So most of them develop dementia, which could be associated with change in personality, memory loss, and because of that, they are not able to perform their cognitive functions in terms of calculations, in terms of memory and things like that. So they end up with dementia. Some of them also have problems with sleep, and then some of them also have what we call delirium, which is confusion. So these are the major conditions that elderly patients face, especially as they grow older.
For a lot of them, even those that are well-to-do of means, their children are so busy, they don't really have the time to come back and care for them. So there's really this huge loneliness, and for those who have even lost their spouses, it's worse off. Seniors Timeout is that program that attempts to solve that problem of loneliness. When they come here, what we see is that they start to build different we're building a big community of seniors, and amongst them, they're already building their different cliques. You see those who live in Surulere, when they're coming, they carpool together and come for the event. When they're going back, they're carpooling. Those coming from Ikeja, those coming from the Lekki axis. So amongst them, we're starting to see these subgroups forming.
But the real stories, the true essence of aging gracefully, are found in the words of those who have embraced these opportunities.
It has been amazing experiencing one another at this age is quite amazing. It's not only meeting ourselves alone. We do a lot of programs. We have a lot of programs. They have plans for a lot of programs when we come.
I'm a widow, so loneliness and nostalgia, it's overwhelming. I've been coming, and since I've been coming, I've found it so interesting. It has helped me health-wise. It has helped me to rejuvenate my strength and vitality, and fortunately, to the glory of God, these activities have been so exciting, and I look forward to coming every month.
Graceful aging is not the absence of wrinkles. It's a diverse collection of experiences filled with laughter, learning, and love. In our golden years, we discover some of life's most precious moments, where the pursuit of joy transcends age, and our spirits stay forever youthful.
I was never satisfied with the way a story had been told by the elders to us. I remember this because my siblings, my peers would say, no, we didn't see that way. And I would say, I know, but this is the way I want it to go. I am Wole Soyinka, playwright, essayist, novelist, poet, and activist. I hope through my work to make changes in society.
Professor Wole Soyinka, thank you so much for talking to us.
Pleasure.
I know you don't make a big fuss about your birthday, but you just turned 90, which is a big deal. So I came all the way from Kenya to make a fuss. How does it feel?
Well, that's the annoying thing, that I don't feel 90. I think I just have taken birthdays for granted. Usually what I do on my birthdays, I disappear into the forest. That's my normal way of spending birthdays. When I was a student, I thought our mission in life was to go down south and liberate Southern Africa. Before returning to Nigeria, we began to see that we'd better place our charity, the priority of charity, on the home front.
Next, Wole takes me to his place of tranquility. Even the corridor has artwork everywhere.
Yes, most of these are modern,
Right.
whereby young carvers but in the tradition.
Your house here in Abeokuta is like a museum come art gallery. What is the story behind all these pieces around us?
I think they're an expression of substitution sometimes. I enjoy my solitude enormously.
I think you mentioned that about 1,000 times so far.
I do. So, I think maybe secretly I long for company. And that's why I accumulate all this.
You have a reforestation project here in Abeokuta, the Autonomous Republic of Ijigba.
When I moved in here, it was entirely forested. All these were my hunting ground. I really felt I was in a different country and I could just stay here and cut off the rest of society.
Wole embraces this time of his life with a little bit of dark humor.
What you see when you come in there, on this side there,
Where it says the trespassing cows will be
will be hanged, yes. All that area complete reforestation. So it's literally back to its natural something. And having recreated nature, don't I deserve to give it a name of my own?
I think it's only right. It's only fair. Now that you have your own little piece of earth here, what's in your future?
Future?
Yes.
Future, I don't want to be morbid, but you know, that's the future. But I made arrangement for that within this state.
That is the most morbid answer anyone has ever given me. That I made arrangements for my death.
Many people don't like to hear it.
Yes.
You know, as I say it all the time. So I won't say it here. You are CNN. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's where we're all headed. It's the future for everybody. But in terms of...
Yes, but before you die.
In terms of productivity, the immediate thing is to go on a vacation. Take a resolution which will be attested judicially, not to grant any more interviews on pain of penalty, which will be recorded, no more interviews.
I'm glad we got this in.
Certainly not writing.